Hello everybody! And today we're going to be playing something a little new. This isn't something I've actually... This isn't anything like I've played before, but at least not anything I've shown you guys. But I have played a lot of games like this. This is Survivalist Invisible Strain, and I'm going to tell you right now, I love any kind of survival game that allows you to beat the shit out of people and then recruit them. And just any base building game that lets you beat the shit out of your enemies and just recruit them onto your team is just, it's goddamn orgasmic to have that as an opportunity. And I know there are people out there that agree with me. So, let's get to the point. This is a zombie game. And like any game, and like any zombie survival game, you have to rely on the basic necessities of life in order to survive. We have Donovan Mathis here. He's relatively, he's relatively good. I've made sure, and I'm going to run through each individual panel so that you guys can actually, you guys will understand what's going on here a little better. I should also mention that before we get into this is only going to be about 30 minutes long. This is going to be a 30-minute video. I'm going to try my best to make it within the 30-minute mark. But if it goes a little over, there's not much I can do. So, the reason behind this is that a lot of the hourly videos that I've made, most of which are unedited, aren't getting a lot of traction. I'm using the tags. I'm using a lot of tags that bring people in, and I'm making sure that I'm trying my best to make them fit with the videos. So you are getting what you're asking for. You are getting what you're looking for, and this is mostly to attract people because I've noticed that a lot of my hourly playthroughs aren't getting enough traction because and I think it's because a lot of content at once is a bit intimidating because an hour-long video is an investment. You have to spend an hour of your time to watch an entire video. And I kind of understand. I understand how people feel when people see something like this. And I'm just thinking, well, I'm not gonna. And maybe they're probably thinking, you know, I don't have time to watch something like this. It's an hour long. I have shit to do. I've got my own games to play. I've got work. I have to take my grandma to the hospital because she got run over by a mobility scooter. It's just stuff like that. Some people have better things to do, and that's why I plan on making my videos like 30 minutes long. I plan on bringing the hour-long videos back, but that's only if people will actually be able to accept that. I'll probably put up a poll somewhere later on next year, if there's a lot of traction on this channel, about, hey, would you like me to increase the runtime on these videos to an hour? And if you guys say yes, then I'd be more than happy to give you complete unedited garbage. Sorry, that's not what I meant. So, we're going to be naming us the Lukewarm Boys. And I'm gonna and before we get it, again, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you guys know what's going on here, because I don't post on this channel all that much. I just want to keep you guys updated, because I give a shit. If there's any game like this that you have in the back of your mind that you want me to play, I will play it. Just comment down below. Hell, it helps with the algorithm, so comment nonetheless. So we're gonna be good friends if you do something like that. You just give me an idea, and I'll work on it. I'll try my best to take a look and see what I can do with this information. And yeah, I'll play the games you play. I'll play games like Rimworld. I'll play games like Mountain Blade when I actually buy it, because it's $39.99 for fuck's sake. And yeah. So let's get into, and now we can actually get into the video. This is Donovan Mathis. He's 19, and that's all you need to know about his vital stats. Nothing in the vital stats are actually vital. That's just how he looks. His face, the same thing. It's nothing but Fallout 4 character customization. Except this. For some godforsaken reason, despite the fact that these guys went the extra mile, and I love them for this. They went the extra mile and decided, you know what? We're gonna make this a whole lot easier for you. Sorry, I'm just managing. There we go. Yeah, they went the extra mile and gave these depth. They gave each individual article of clothing depth. They gave them flesh. Not like that, but you get my point. What I'm trying to say is that each article of clothing you put on will have an effect on your playthrough. And some are more obvious, like the beanie, or just the regular shirts, giving you insulation. However, once we get into the hats and the beanie, I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't take the beanie. It's not worth it. You have better things to insulate yourself with. And if you follow this optimal strategy, like right here, you'll have the sleeveless jacket, you'll have the combat pants, you'll have the buckled boots, and you'll have the sunglasses, or the shades if you want to be a goddamn loser. Now, here's the important part. The only thing the beanie will offer you is insulation, and as I've stated before, it's not worth it. The hats, on the other hand, the military cap, the cowboy hat, and the baseball cap, these are the kinds of stuff you're gonna want. And I'm telling you, it's worth it to get the sunglasses instead of the hat. Because, at least from my playthrough, you aren't going to find a lot of shades or sunglasses. But you are going to find a few hats. And if you find the beanie, you can put it on if you don't have any of the other hats. But do not prioritize this. Just save it for the 3 gold it's worth and then sell it off. It's not worth keeping this. It's 0.5 pounds, you could stock up on a lot of those, and then you can sell it off for more bang for your buck. Because the vendors will have carry weight too, and I'll explain that in a moment. Let's not go too fast. Sunglasses, shades, military caps, cowboy hats, and baseball caps will give you sight. You'll encounter these more than you'll encounter these. So I think it's a lot more optimal to go for the glasses first. because then you'll encounter these and you'll get 2 sight, plus 2 sight. And you'll be able to see from farther away, which means you'll also be able to see threats from farther away. And I think that's a good thing. Now let's get into equipment. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people will tell you that the optimal strategy is to carry this and this. And I agree with these people. I agree. The axe is absolutely necessary for when you're trying to take wood down. It's completely essential. And on top of the toolbox, which you can't get here, but nonetheless, the axe is what you're going to be using a lot in the game if you don't have any other better melee weapons, but you'll still be using the axe anyway to cut down trees, because what you're going to be getting from that is wood. And if you have a medium backpack, which you won't be able to start out with anyway, you're going to be able to take over buildings. You're going to be able to, once you get your toolbox set, you're going to be able to do stuff like start up campfires, build fences, build watchtowers. You can build workshops, assuming you have high enough construction for it. You can build wells, and you can start a farming site. But that's what you do with the shovel. You're doing the shovel to do that. But you're still using wood to make that well. And you're not going to get wood anywhere else, except from a shed, which is, even then, not that reliable. So, what's our main point here? Again, axe, backpack, yes, I agree. But the tent bag, fuck the tent bag. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're starting off, I'm going to tell you right now. The tent bag, yes, the tent bag will allow you to go into the woods and set up relatively well. But it's not recommended that you set this up. Again, you can set up anywhere you want. And if you set up with a tent bag, you can designate where you want to start out. And it's a lot more reliable, but it's a lot more risky. Because again, you're going to have to build all this from the ground up. And it's all made of wood if you're just starting out. Which means if some dumbass comes around with a Molotov, they're going to completely remove your defenses and if you're even unluckier and they happen to have a shotgun on them, they'll kill you in about 2 shots if you're not wearing armor. And even then, it'll stun you long enough for them to kill you anyway. I swear to God, the weapons in this game is goddamn overpowered, but they're even worse when they're carried by your enemies, because often they come at you in packs, like animals. And if you're starting out, if you're not that good at this game, if you just started playing this, I recommend getting the axe, getting the toolbox, and taking over a motel. Preferably close to a river, because the river will allow you to fill up water bottles and vodka bottles. I mean, assuming you actually drank the vodka out of them, or use them to sterilize rags to make bandages. But I will explain that later. If you want to start out a lot better, I think it's better that you get the survival knife instead of the hunting knife. Because the hunting knife will allow you to skin corpses. And by corpses I mean zombie corpses and human corpses. I say that because doing that will give you their flesh. And again, obviously you'll be able to consume them. And I've done this before. It gives you a fuck ton of sustenance, and it's worth doing. But it gives you a mood debuff. And I'm going to tell you, people are not going to be happy with eating flesh, human flesh. Cannibalism is still more than taboo in this current time period. But not only that, but it can actually serve as a distraction because you can equip it and throw it around. And it says it right in here. You can skin corpses with it and throw the meat around to distract the infected. The regular human meat will be a lot more distracting than infected meat because, again, the zombies are a lot more attracted to fresh meat than dead meat. Let's be honest. You know? Because again, let's not get logical. We don't have time for this shit. But, yeah, axe, backpack, hunting knife, sustenance, flesh, distractions, stealth. Got it. Now, skills. You start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skill points. And for every extra skill you put into one skill, it costs 1 more. So you will only be able to get 1 skill up to level 3. So here is the most optimal strategy for our skills. And here's why. Fitness is basically your run-of-the-mill pack mule. The more fitness skill you have, the more you'll be able to carry, and the more you'll be able to run. Because you'll be fatiguing a lot less. Hand to hand, and I made this mistake before. It's not just going to affect your fists. I know, it sounds stupid, but I made this mistake for God knows what reason. And this will not only affect your fists, but it will affect your general melee. But you probably got this idea if you're not as stupid as I am. Archery and firearms are technically the same thing. They're both ranged. However, this game follows logic. If you know how to be good at archery, you're probably not going to be that good at firearms because archery, aiming a bow and shooting arrows is completely different than shooting a firearm. Again, you might be, and again, your aiming is completely different too. Because, no, you don't have a sight on your bow, you know? So, and archery, it's going to affect your aiming time, and it's also going to affect your accuracy. Firearms is the same deal, but instead of aiming time, it's reload speed. Stealth is self-explanatory. You press C to crouch, that means you're stealthed. And once you're stealthed, depending on your stealth skill, you can sneak around without getting caught. Construction, oh, hell yes, construction is good. It's good. I'm going to tell you that right now. Construction is what you're going to be using in the late game and early game and mid game all the time. This is the skill you're going to be using when constructing defenses, constructing buildings in general. Fences, wooden fences, metal fences, wire fences, watchtowers, workbenches, smithies. Even using workbenches and smithies will be using your construction skill. And if you're using a shovel, you'll be digging graves and you'll be digging wells. You're going to be digging wells to refill your water so you can start farming. But I'll get to the farming in a bit. Construction, good. Take a skill point and give it a skill point. It's worth it. And I recommend training with this. Farming? I've only gotten to farming recently. I don't know how it works. But it is my personal assumption. I might be wrong about this, so don't quote me on this. But I'm pretty sure farming, as you get better at it, it's going to increase your yield. And yeah, I think that's exactly what I think it's going to be. Medicine? medicine is going to be affecting the quality that you bandage up your wounds, because in this game you're gonna get your shit kicked in a lot, and it's not very forgiving, even on slightly easier difficulty. And that's actually the name of it, slightly easier. It's only slightly easier. You're still gonna get your shit kicked in. So it's good to have a skill point into your medicine, because the more medicine you have, the better you're going to heal. Because you don't heal outright. You have to wait a bit. But with medicine, with higher medicine, you're going to have a lot better experience with what you're doing. And you're going to be healing a lot better. Cooking, I don't recommend putting a skill point into cooking. It's not going to help you in early game. And in a game like this, early game is going to be your most important part. As if with treat this game like a conversation. Good first impressions mean the most. So, in the early game, you're not gonna be cooking a lot. Hell, you might not even start up a campfire, because the campfire is not necessary. Though it is necessary to advance your quests. But I wouldn't recommend it unless you're goddamn freezing. Because matches are not easy to come by, neither are flint. But once you go into a motel, you're going to be able to sleep in there. Another reason why you shouldn't take the tent bag. Well, another reason a tent bag is completely useless unless you're nomading. So while you're cooking, you'll be able to cook a lot more advanced stuff. When you're cooking, you're going to be able to unlock more. You're going to unlock better recipes. But that's assuming you have the resources for it. And I'm saying, you're going to be using a lot of stuff. And a lot of the stuff you get, you're not going to be able to cook them anyway, because cooking relies on farming. You're not going to be cooking that well if you're not farming a lot. And you don't need that much cooking or firearms or farming anyway in the early game, because you're going to be nomading for the most part anyway. But I don't recommend getting the tent bag, because the first thing you're going to do is find someone else. Just find a community. And once you found that community, you're good. You can start setting up, because then it starts giving you the quests. And the quests, they're going to guide you. They're not vague. They explain exactly what they want you to do. And they tell you how to do it. Now, finding the resources to do that's on your own turn. You're on your own from that one. That's actually something you're gonna have to explore to find out. Like, if you decided not to start with the axe, like, let's say, you can start with a shovel instead. You're gonna have to find an axe yourself. And then the same goes for the toolbox. You can't get the toolbox here. So you're not gonna be able to. You're gonna have to find the toolbox through gameplay. But yeah, 6 skill points. This is my personal best way to put them in. Personalities. Personalities are going to affect the way you go through dialogue. Now, my guy is a detached, cynical, street smart, friendly, loyal, skeptical, bold, passive-aggressive Joker nerd who is unflappable, likes bland food. Bland food, is immoral and is straight. Fuck, my voice cracked. But, we're starting in early spring. Early spring? Yeah, that's the way to go from here. You got good insulation from here. And you're not going to be freezing a lot, even during the night. Because, again, this is in and later on, you're probably going to be overheating more, so I recommend stripping down. But, yeah, we're going to be starting at the maximum size at 1 kilometer cubed. Is that the right way? Is that the right way to say it? Yeah, fuck it. Let's say that. So we're going to be starting on normal difficulty, where I don't trust myself to be using invisible strain, and I'll go into strains later once we get into zombies. And save tokens, these are enabled by default. Just be sure to uncheck these if you're new. And I'm relatively new. I don't trust myself enough to turn these on. In this one, if you play any old Resident Evil game, this one's sending goddamn chills up your spines. You have to find crucifix pendants, and zombies will occasionally drop these, and you'll find these in, you'll also find them in houses, but you can only save using these crucifix pendants if you have save tokens turned on. And if you can toggle this off to be able to save whenever you want. And I recommend doing this if you're new. Same for invisible strain. And yeah, while this is loading, I'm going to be explaining to you the how we're starting out. Or no, I'm going to be explaining the strains to you. In order, there are 4 strains. 5 if you're counting invisible strain, but that's essentially just white strain that's invisible. That's nothing, it's just 10 times more stressful. I don't recommend putting it on. Unless you are a goddamn masochist, I don't recommend turning it on at all. But first we have green strain, blue strain, red strain, and white strain, in that order of difficulty. Green strain will be your run-of-the-mill grunts. They're easy to take down, and they tend to be more likely to dive bomb towards you, which is extremely easy to counter. If you attack them as they're dive bombing you, you're going to destroy them. And if they miss their dive bomb, they're absolutely guaranteed to fall over while attacking you, which you can take out their legs. And this is the optimal strategy for fighting groups of green strain and blue strain zombies. And here's our new quest. See? Find an unhostile family, or settlement. So the first thing you're going to do when you're fighting red strain, or when you're fighting green strains, and don't destroy it, and you're going to be fighting. So the idea, try not to get them. Take out their legs, and then you're done. Now they will try to grapple you. The most important part, if you take a look at the top, right, or not the top right, the bottom left. But yeah, take a look at the top right, and it'll say what kind of strain they are. But it's pretty obvious because it'll say on your mini-map whether they're green. Because see, they are green. See? And it confirms it here, green strain. But take a look at the bottom right. You have your blood loss, and blood loss isn't exactly pretty clear. It's not exactly clear on what blood loss is, but basically it's the amount of damage you've taken. And when you take wounds, you're going to be losing. That blood loss is going to be increasing as you don't patch up your wounds. And And the other part is fatigue. Fatigue is the one thing you need to be watching out for more than blood loss, because blood loss, it's easy to take care of. Fatigue is the thing that's going to be getting you in trouble in the first place. And I recommend when you kill zombies, take their clothes if you have an opportunity, because again, their clothes, these are abundant. You can get these relatively easy. And it's good because they tend to have worth. And that's good when you're trading, because you're going to be making a lot of money from just selling clothes that you aren't going to be using anymore. Or at all, for that matter. So, just be sure to loot any zombies you see. And when you're taking your hunting knife, just be sure to skin zombies. And you can press F to pause your game, and G to fast forward to 2 to 4. And you will get really encumbered by doing this. So I recommend not carrying a lot of these around. So let's actually take a look, because I wasn't finished talking fatigue. You will lose fatigue by just standing still and not doing anything tiring, but it's important. Do not let fatigue get to full when you're in combat, because when you let it get to full when you're in combat, you're not going to be able to dodge attacks. You're not going to be able to break out of grapples, and when you're not going to be able to break out of grapples, oh hell, you're going to have the worst time of your life. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Whenever you fight, whenever you run, and you're not going to be losing fatigue while sprint crouching, because you can sprint while crouching, you're not going to be losing any fatigue while doing that. But what's important is you keep your fatigue low, because once you do that, if you don't do that, your fatigue is going to get high, and you're not going to be able to dodge attacks or break out of grapples. And that's when you get into your first problem. When a zombie attacks you, when a zombie successfully bites you, you're going to be infected. There's no question about it. You will be immediately infected upon a bite, and it will be your job to find antigen as quickly as you can before it's too late. You can use the strategy I was using earlier on green and blue strains, even in hordes. But blue strains, you're really pushing it. You're pushing the boundaries of your difficulty when you're fighting against blue strains. And I recommend, if you don't try this on red strains, especially if they're in a horde, I recommend just killing them quickly and then booking it. And if they're in a horde, do not altercate with them. Just hide in a house, speed up time, build up your stealth, and then just sneak away. And I'm doing it right now. You can press C to enter stealth. See that tree? Once it's fully green, that means you're completely hidden. This will slowly turn white. It will go down and fade away into a shade of white. That means you're detected. Something saw you, and it's coming for you real fast. Unless their legs are broken. But, yeah. So what's important is red strain. Yeah, not only are they going to be harder to kill, but the strain you get from these zombies are going to be harder to cure, because you're going to be finding a lot more green strains than blue strains. And the same thing for red strains. You're not going to be finding a lot of red strains. Hell, the only red strain I was able to find was the one that I bought. And even then, I don't think it'll help you much when there's a horde of them coming after you. Because Red Strain, it forces you to take it real quick. Because Red Strain, it takes about 30 seconds for it to kill you. 20, I think. Yeah, it takes about 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds to kill you. Green Strain and Blue Strain, you at least have a chance. But you at least have some time before you can take it. And it lets you save up on stuff that's more important. But Red Strain, you're going to have to take that goddamn thing fast when you have it. And you might not always find it. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is White Strain. White Strain, do not fight White Strain. If you don't know what you're doing, do not even encounter them. That is the worst thing you can do in this situation. Because if they fight you, if one bites you, there is nothing you can do. There is no there's no White Strain antigen in the entire game. Maybe if you modded it in from the editor, right here, where you can just put in custom stuff. You can't put in. You can put in the White Strain antigen, but that's assuming, but it's not in vanilla game. You will not encounter this in normal play, nor can you buy this from anybody. And once one hits you, you're going to be dead in 3 seconds. 4 seconds if you're lucky, but 3 seconds, and you'll be dead. And I think that just comes to show you should not tread in White Strain territory. Because when you're treading in White Strain territory, you're going to die a lot. I'm going to tell you that much. But what's important is that you just don't get hit by them. They're going to be hard to kill. They'll take a lot more damage than your other boys at Red Strain and Blue Strain. And once one hits you, you're dead. You're gone. You're done with. Nothing you can do. No strain. No cure. Done. And White and Invisible Strain, I plan on doing a video in the future that demonstrates each strain. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't take that long for them to kill you. No, why the fuck am I saying this? Of course it doesn't. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm getting distracted. But that's basically the basics. Fucking up. And we just went over the 30-minute mark. Just 8 minutes over. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm trying to keep a schedule. But I will try to get a video explaining this more in depth in the future. I'll be going through this with you. And I'll be making sure that you know what you're doing when you play this game. Because this game, it's new. Not a lot of people have made guides on this yet. So I'm going to be trying my best to demonstrate each strain and each fighting tactic, your hunting, your farming, base building, and recruiting, because that's going to be something you're going to be doing a lot in this game if you want to live. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else for me to say here in terms of introduction. If there's anything I missed, please comment down below and I'll get to it in the next part. I'll have like a list down with each thing I've missed from you guys. And another thing, if there's anything like base building, fight recruiting, and just survival games I'm talking games like Bannerlord is not a survival game. Mountain Blade is not a survival series, but you get my point. Any game in general that allows me to recruit anybody that I fight and beat, I love. Anything that allows me to build my base in a survival game that allows me to recruit anybody I fight, orgasmic. So if you have anything like that, and I plan on making a Rimworld gameplay in the future, I have a lot more experience in that game than I do in this. Please, just let me know in the comments. And, hey, be sure to comment anyway. It helps with the algorithm in general. But, yeah, that's all I had to say. And we just approached 40 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, this was Dominic talking to you, and I'll make sure to provide more personality in the future. The full is gameplay, but yeah, the personality is what makes it person, really. I'll see you around, guys. It's been fun.